On today's Locked On Giants podcast, things that the Giants need to keep on doing if they want to have more success besides scoring more points. We're going to talk about that plus some other things coming your way next on the Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of the Locked On Giants podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL, written in all lowercase letters, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. Prize Picks, run your game. Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, credential member of the New York Giants media for Locked On, as well as for New York Giants on SI, which is where you can find all my written work. And as always, big welcome on in to my everydayers, my Blue Crew community members, my newcomers, and everybody in between. Thank you for spending part of your day with us here on the Locked On Giants podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube, please, if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to the channel. Click that little bell so that you are notified every time I post a new video. And if you wouldn't mind, also like the video. And if you're listening on our audio platforms, a 5-star review is always appreciated. All of it helps. And like I said, it is appreciated. And on today's Locked On Giants podcast, now I know for those of you who saw the show yesterday, I said that Trey Wingo was scheduled to be on with me today. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. After all, something came up. So we're going to try and reschedule him probably for next week. That is the hope at any rate. So today, we're going to take a look at some things that I think the Giants need to do, other than obviously outscore the opponent, to kind of keep this little success that they started against the Seattle Seahawks, a very good Seattle team, to keep this rolling. So I have a few things that I want to talk about on that. Then in segment 2, I know a lot of you have asked me about Malik Nabers. What's the latest? I'm going to give you an update. What we know actually, or what we don't know, and what needs to happen as far as where Malik Nabers needs to be on Wednesday as far as the concussion protocol to have a chance for Sunday night. And then last but not least, we're going to take a very early look at the Cincinnati Bengals, who are coming into MetLife Stadium on Sunday night. What are some of the things the Giants need to do, again, outside of outscoring the Bengals, to win the game? And what are the odds? Where are the strengths? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Going to save all the good stuff, though, for the crossover show on Thursday that is in the can. So you'll see that on Thursday. All right, let's get into it. What do the Giants, who are coming off of a 29-20 win against the Seattle Seahawks, a good Seattle team, a complete Seattle team, compared to maybe the Cleveland Browns, which had a very good defense, not so good of an offense. How can the Giants just keep things going? What takeaways can we pull from that Seattle win to for the Giants to keep things rolling? All right, I have 4 things here. Number 1, keep getting the tight end involved in the passing game. Last week against the Seahawks, the Giants got Theo Johnson involved on, I think it was 5 pass attempts. He caught all 5. He ran 13 routes, according to Next Gen Stats, and he was productive. And the thing I like about that is that, the Giants, they attack the middle of the field with the tight end. Theo Johnson, a big kid, going to run over some of those smaller running backs. And quite honestly, I'm surprised that the Giants haven't used the tight end as much in the first 4 games as they did against Seattle. Maybe they saw something, but look, spread the ball out. I know there's a temptation to want to get it in the hands of Malik Nabers every time he's on the field. I get that. But as I said in a previous show, after a while, teams are going to be able to know what you're doing, and they're going to figure out a way to slow you down. So you want to open things up a little bit. And I really think if the Giants get the tight end more involved, in the passing game. Not to the point where the tight end is necessarily dominating the receptions, but get it more involved, the position more involved than just, putting them out there and all of a sudden everybody knows, oh, okay, the tight end is going to be a blocker. So we don't really have to worry about that. All right. Item number 2, and I wrote about this on New York Giants on SI. Start splitting the running back reps between Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. Now, as I record this, it's Tuesday night, so the injury report hasn't come out yet. I don't know what Devin Singletary's status is going to be. I would think because he was limited, I think on Friday, that maybe he will be a little further along and have a chance for Sunday night. But I would also think that if he does have a chance for Sunday night and he does play, don't put him out there necessarily for all the snaps. Get Tyrone Tracy in the mix. Because I think one of the problems that the Giants are starting to fall into, or at least they were, is that they were becoming a little too predictable. You kind of knew that the passes, for example, going to go to Malik Nabers or Wan'Dale Robinson. The running game, you knew that it was going to be Devin Singletary. Mix it up. Keep the opponent on edge. And Tyrone Tracy, he really, really had a good game last week. I mean, we all saw the numbers. Tyrone Tracy was ranked. He actually had the most rushing yardage out of all the running backs in the league last week. The kid has earned his stripes. So maybe have him on the field, have Devin Singletary do some of the pass pro that Tracy is still not really up to speed on yet. And oh, by the way, the Bengals have the 30th ranked run defense. They are allowing 151.4 yards per game. So you think maybe the running game is going to be a point of emphasis for the Giants this week? I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. So, but get Tyrone Tracy definitely involved there. Next point I want to mention, blitzing. Shane Bowen is currently averaging 34% 34% blitz rate, which I believe is 4th in the league. He has done a good job so far in mixing in the blitzes, right? So just going back to the last, to the first 5 games, he blitzed 19, 34, 50, 14, and 20%. And obviously it depends on the quarterback. If a quarterback is a statue back there, you're going to blitz a little bit more. If he can burn you, you're going to blitz less. Joe Burrow is the type who can burn you. Think like Dak Prescott, a guy who's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly and who's going to stand up to pressure. So I do not anticipate the Giants are going to blitz a whole lot against Joe Burrow. I'd be surprised of it. But still, I like the fact that the Giants defensive coordinator Shane Bowen has been mixing in the blitz a little bit more than maybe what he did when he was the DC for the Tennessee Titans. Okay, the last thing, and this is via NFL Next Gen Stats, motion plays. The Giants have run motion on 199 of their plays so far on offense, which is 13th in the NFL, and 7 of Daniel Jones's touchdowns have come in pre-snap motion, which is tied for 14th in the league. So pre-snap motion, just, we've talked about it before, the benefits for those who don't know, it helps the quarterback determine what the defense is potentially looking to run. And the fact that the Giants are running pre-snap motion a little bit more than maybe what they did the first couple years in this regime, that's helping Daniel Jones. We talked yesterday on the show about, things the Giants are doing to help Daniel Jones be a better quarterback. Pre-snap motion is one of them. So definitely keep rolling with that. You can't do it every play, but certainly in certain situations, you want to look to do that. All right, coming up next, what do we know about Malik Nabers' status? And what do we need to see from him to believe that he might have a chance of playing on Sunday? I'll get to that right after this. Hey, Giant fans, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks, and you can get in on all the action during weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday when Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to give you even more value for your lineups. Prize Picks puts its members first so that all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Get your payouts within 15 minutes after requesting them. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Hey, Giant fans, the new Locked On NFL is here. Locked On NFL is now 2 shows every day. First, the Madman, Tyler Rowland, kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso. Then stop by the barbershop for a visit with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. Add in the Locked On local experts, and you'll get unprecedented NFL insight, hot opinions, detailed breakdowns, all in 30 minutes. It's the new Locked On NFL, and it's twice a day. Make the new Locked On NFL your second listen on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Locked On Giants podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, and coming up on Locked On Giants Crossover Thursday is tomorrow. James Rapine, Jake Lisco, the co-hosts of Locked On Bengals, and I chopped it up, and we had a really good discussion. We've already taped that show. It is in the can. It'll drop on midnight, so hope you will check that out. Also, we have a new show. It's a once-a-week show. It's basically the NFC Club. We're basically a bunch of hosts from the NFC teams all get together, and it's kind of like a studio setting, like a round table where we all discuss the hottest stories and the upcoming games, the previous week's games. And that's going to be dropping here on the Locked On YouTube channel. I think it's dropping Thursday. So that's a little extra bonus issue that we had. And, you know, that was a lot of fun. We taped that one on Tuesday night. So I hope you will check that one out as well. All right, let's talk about Malik Nabers. Now, when we last left Malik Nabers, who was in the concussion protocol, last Friday was not able to practice, which means he was probably in stage 1 or stage 2 of the protocol, because stage 3 would be the ability to, you know, work on the side and be out there and do stuff. Brian Dable did not have an update, or was not willing to give an update on Monday when he spoke to the media via a video call. Understandable, because look, they have today, Tuesday, and, you know, Wednesday morning to reassess where Malik Nabers is in the protocol. Okay, so where does Malik Nabers ideally need to be in the protocol? Well, you'd like him to be out of the protocol, obviously, on Wednesday, but at the very least, you're hoping that he's at stage 4, which is basically he's allowed to wear the red jersey, participate in non-contact football activities, right? If he is not at that part or that phase in the protocol, it's going to be close, folks, but hopefully that's where he's at, because, you know, usually from there, if there are no setbacks, the rest of the protocol kind of goes quickly. So I would hope Malik Nabers is going to be at the very least limited, but in the red jersey for non-contact. Get him out there, get him moving around, and hopefully he doesn't have any symptoms or setbacks as he moves around. Now, if he should play on Sunday night, I don't know if I would maybe put him out there as much as he's been playing. The reason for that is when a guy is coming back off of an injury, to ramp him up, you know, to throw him out there right away and give him a full workload, I think that's a little bit of a risk. You know, obviously, you know, if he gets cleared in the concussion protocol and all's right, there should be no reason why he can't play. But he didn't practice last week that we know of. He didn't play on Sunday. So he's had some time off. He's obviously been doing behind the scenes, what he can as far as aerobic exercise, any football exercises and whatnot. But I would tread lightly with Malik Nabers. But that's just me. I tend to err on the side of caution because you don't want the kid to have a setback. You don't want, those concussion symptoms to reoccur, and you don't want to lose him for a long period of time. So I do think the Giants will go easy initially. And look, if nothing else, they showed that they have guys that can step up if Neighbors can't take on a full load. Darius Slayton, Wandale Robinson, look, get Jalen Hyatt involved, although Jalen Hyatt, we thought last week he was going to get more involved and he didn't. So they do have options for the passing game. They brought up Isaiah Hodgins, who I don't think had any, or if he did, I think he might have had a handful of snaps on offense, but I don't recall him getting a target his way. So they have options. Don't lean on Neighbors if he's not right. Work him back up, let him get right. And then, because you're going to need him. The following week, it's the Eagles coming in. Okay. Then the Giants, I believe, have Carolina. So you've got some big games coming up. You want to have a healthy Malik Nabers for the big games coming up. And I'm not saying that this week's game against the Bengals isn't a big game. They're all big games in a way, but it's an AFC game. All right. In terms of the tiebreakers, if we come down to it, it's not, it's going to be at the bottom of the pecking order, as opposed to maybe the game against the Eagles, which is going to be ranked a little higher since it's in the division. So you want to have all hands on deck at full strength for games like that. So we'll see where Neighbors is. If I had to take a guess, I feel optimistic that he's going to be okay. I mean, and he'll be back in the lineup. I certainly hope he will. If he's not, having seen what the Giants were able to do to work around that, somewhat reassuring, but obviously you want to have Neighbors in there against that Bengals defense. And look, here's the other thing, folks. Even if Neighbors isn't ready to go, the Bengals defense has struggled. They just lost their top cover cornerback. All right. So I think if the Giants had to hold Neighbors out another week, they could probably get by with it. I hope that they don't, because obviously he's fun to watch. But if they had to, I'm not so sure it would be the end of the world for the Giants. So, all right. Speaking of the Bengals, let's take an early first look at them. What are the Giants in for? Where can they maybe have the competitive edge? We're going to take a look at all that right after this. Hey, Giant fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the very same page where you place your bets. And right now, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, Giant fans, time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including literature, mathematics, fine arts, history, economics, and so much more. There's no better way to expand your knowledge and challenge your mind than to open it to learning something new from Hillsdale College's vast catalog of online courses. Enroll today for free at hillsdale.edu/lockedon. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register for free. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Locked On Giants podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, and don't forget, tomorrow, crossover Thursday with Locked On Bengals. James Rapine and Jake Lisco join me as we chop it up and really dive into the details about the Giants-Bengals Sunday night game. little FYI for you, Joe Burrow, Bengals quarterback, has never beaten an NFC East team in his career. Another little tidbit for you. The Bengals have never won at when playing the Giants on the road. All right. They don't see each other often, but when they have not won at MetLife Stadium when they have faced the Giants on the road. So kind of interesting and reasons for hope, obviously. But, look, you line up, you play the game because you never know any given Sunday and all that stuff. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the matchups. And again, I'm going to go into more detail on Thursday's show, but the Bengals defensive line, I mentioned before that the Bengals defense in general is it's a mess. It just really is. The Bengals are tied for second with the fewest sacks in the league. They only have 6. Okay. The Giants, they lead the league in sacks with 22. And by the way, another little fun fact for you. The Giants are the first team since the Eagles in 2006 to record 7+ sacks in 2 of their first 5 games. Right? So the Giants are going for the next record, which is 7 or more sacks in 3 of their first 6 games, which was set by the 1989 Vikings. All right, but let's talk about the matchup here. The Giants' offensive line has been playing really well, particularly in pass blocking. The Bengals, they're banged up. They're just not getting home with their rushes. I mean, they're a mess. Their defense is an absolute mess. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because I said the same thing about the Cowboys back in week 3. Talked about the Cowboys and how their defense was a mess. And unfortunately, what happened? Giants had trouble scoring in the red zone against that Cowboys defense. So, sticking with the Bengals, they're like ranked last or towards the bottom against the run. Hence why I was kind of banging the drum a little bit to have Tyrone Tracy more involved. The Bengals lost their top cover cornerback, so that should maybe play into the hands of the Giants. So there are going to be opportunities there. If the Giants offense clicked last week, if they continue to click, they should be able to move and score. And here's why that's important. Because if you go back and you look at the losses by the Bengals, they lost every single one of their games by 1 score or less. So they keep it close. It can turn into a shootout if need be. Where the Bengals, they're scoring 30+ points in losing efforts. The Giants haven't quite cracked 30 points yet. They came close last week, but haven't quite gotten there yet. So, look, the Giants, they've got to take advantage of that banged up Bengals defense. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. That's going to be one of the big keys because Joe Burrow of the Bengals has, a potent offense. That passing game does concern me. Burrow is good against pressure and the blitz. He's not fazed by that. This game has a potential to be a shootout, a scoring shootout. And if the Giants get into that, I'd like to think that they can stay pace with the Bengals. I'm not so sure if they will be able to. So that's the one thing that I think I'm most concerned about with this game. The other thing I'm most concerned about with this game is the Bengals receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, against the Giants defensive secondary. Now, last week, both Deontay Banks and Cordell Flott played very well, probably had their best games of the year. They need to keep that up because these Bengals receivers are potent. And, I don't know how Shane Bowen is going to cover it or how he's going to play it, but hopefully they're able to do some of what they did against DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba and Tyler Lockett last week and bring that over and shut those guys, or at least neutralize those guys in the game. Final thought, the Giants, not very good in prime time. I mentioned they were 23-33-1. I don't remember the last time they won on Sunday night. It's been a while, I think, but they're due. Can they pull it off? Well, we'll find out. And of course, we will bring you everything leading up to that game and beyond here on the Locked On Giants podcast. That's going to do it for me. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And I will see you tomorrow on Crossover Thursday with Jake Liskow and James Rapine of Locked On Bengals.